2023. Terrifying alien invaders stalk the New York City streets. Only you can prevail wielding the super soldier enhancements of Nanosuit 2. GamerSpawn is here to count down to the release of Crysis 2. 2 days left. In this episode, we will talk about the development of Crysis 2, which uses the advanced and award-winning CryEngine 3. Crysis 2 was announced at E3 2009 and has been in development since 2007. Crysis 2 is the sequel to Crysis, which was lauded for its impressive visuals. German-based studio Crytek Frankfurt, which developed the first game, is the lead developer of the sequel, along with help from Crytek UK, formerly known as Free Radical. It will be the first game using the CryEngine 3. Crytek will bring their technical expertise for the first time to consoles and seeks to uphold their reputation of creating some of the most visually impressive games. Crysis 2 moves away from the big, lush jungle and takes place in one of the most important cities of the world, New York. The city offers spectacular opportunities for vertical gameplay. The player can jump between different buildings, buses, or trucks, drop down into craters and fissures in the city's streets, and leap from one building to another. Crysis 2 combines the intensity of linear FPS games with the open sandbox gameplay that Crytek and Crysis are known for. Choreographed sandbox makes for an amazing gameplay experience. Crytek put a lot of effort in the first big trailer of Crysis 2 called The Wall. Marketing managers, creative directors, musicians, and even Cevat Yerli, the CEO and president of Crytek, contributed to create this trailer.
The Crytek team are working closely with Richard Morgan, the acclaimed sci-fi author, on a fantastic, deep, rich sci-fi storyline for Crysis 2. And it brings out a lot of emotion and a lot of feelings that we think Polly's particular voice and recording of this track really will reinforce strongly. What we're doing with this trailer is really setting up the story for Crysis 2. We're showing the scale of the human tragedy that's going on in New York City.
We really wanted to set up some ideas about the tone of the game and the setting, and also the idea of the hero.
The Nanosuit is not the hero itself, it's a meta character that follows in its own development. Richard Morgan and me, we worked on an arc that tries to transform the player and the Nanosuit into a new kind of experience.
With the improved visual and physics powered by the CryEngine 3, Crytek takes animations very serious. They even hired people to produce alien movements for the game. This way, the animation team is able to create realistic movements using motion capture technology. Crytek is really trying to combine all the best from the music and movie industry into their latest game, Crysis 2. EA has confirmed that Hollywood and video game composer Hans Zimmer collaborated with Borislav Slavov and Tilman Silescu to create the soundtrack of Crysis 2. EA also licensed music from well-known pop artist B.O.B. to promote the game with a television commercial. Also, movies such as War of the Worlds and Cloverfield seem to have had a big influence on the development of Crysis 2. As we can see in the salvaged Central Station trailer, which was released in June 2010, the skyline of New York is going down. The way this happens is similar to Cloverfield. Note that the head of the Statue of Liberty lays both in Cloverfield and in Crysis on the streets of New York City. Also, it's notable to see that the aliens in Crysis 2 are marked as terrorists. If we put all these small elements together, it will eventually remind the player about our modern-day society, which adds a realistic perspective to the game. The alien concept from Crysis and Crysis Warhead has completely been changed. In the original games, the aliens flew around and only their warship fought on the ground. In Crysis 2, there will be more creatures on the ground trying to keep the US military and Crynet Ops from their objectives. Most people will think that the writers at Crytek have a wonderful fantasy, but all the information about alien species is actually based on facts. In the real world, humans just walk around minding their own business. But what if aliens will someday invade the Earth? Will they just walk around like us without any protection? Probably not. An article on space.com interviews a couple of scientists which talk about this subject. Michael Dyer, a professor of computer science at the University of California, stated that if an extraterrestrial spaceship ever lands on Earth, I bet you that it is 99% likely that what exits the ship will be synthetic in nature. Also, Seth Shostak, senior astronomer at the SETI Institute, said, anyone coming here would likely be confronting many of the same problems that we as biological life would encounter in space. The alien concept is not just a fantasy, it's actually well taught. Let's take a look inside the headquarters of Crytek in Frankfurt, Germany, with producer Eric Staub.
I'm Eric Staub, I'm producer on Crysis 2, and now I'm going to show you the team that creates Crysis 2.
From the animation department to the code department to the kitchen, it all helped Crytek to build Crysis 2. That was it for this episode. Be sure to watch the next episode as we're going to talk about the highly improved Nanosuit 2 and its functionalities.
The nanosuit is the future of our feeble species. And only you can finish what I started over a century ago.
Incoming alien